Welcome to the second episode of the GC Experience. I'm Nate and I'm here with Matt.
How's it going?
Today we're talking about our come up and sort of how we started improving and where we started pretty much, you know?
Maybe around 10th, 11th grade of high school and how we got from there to where we are now.
Yeah, and pretty much it really started where in high school we didn't love where we were, and Matt and I have been friends for a while, probably since like the beginning of high school, would you say?
Yeah, I'd say somewhere around there, maybe a little bit before.
We've always had like the same friends.
We were always, we had mutual friends like Mark and like Cameron and Jonas.
Yeah, which some people know, but
Yeah.
but yeah, and just from there we started getting close, and it felt like we just would always like go through the same stupid shit together, you know what I mean? Like have all this like stupid problems that we would deal with, and we just started like I guess coming up, both of us. And for me, like I'll get into it for myself, but it really just started where I just didn't like my appearance, and I just like that was one of the main things, and I just didn't like where I was like as a person as well. I just would feel like I just had enough of that at one point, and I just started seeing a better version of myself of what I could be, and I just had enough
seeing
of
your full potential.
Yeah, I just had enough of where I was. So I started seeing a better point, and I didn't even really think if it was possible. I just started seeing it, you know?
And once you start seeing it, you can start to fully believe it and start to
achieve it.
Actually, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's how it goes. And I don't know, like I feel like I started doing different things and doing things differently than what I was prior. And one of the first things that I started actually doing was just eating better. I had a horrible diet, honestly. Like
I think majority of kids in high school, especially in the younger grades, they have a shit sleep schedule and shit eating habits.
Yeah, it's something that's so normal. But
I don't know a single kid who would show up to school with a really healthy lunch.
Yeah.
Everyone's eating their snacks and chips and whatever else.
We ran, both of us, and dude, we wouldn't eat anything. Like we would have like.
I used to eat like a bag of chips. So like 100 calories, and then I'd go on a run and I'd burn more than 100 calories. I wouldn't eat breakfast, and I didn't have a lunch either. So that'd be my only thing to eat.
Yeah, dude, it's just there was something about that I don't know how we could do it. I really don't know how we could do it, but
and at the same time, our coaches would be telling us, you got to eat to actually improve and get better running. But as
we didn't even think about it.
Everyone as like on the team would just not be listening, be messing around, and no one would follow what they're saying, and no wonder a lot of people would not be improving as I wouldn't be.
And obviously like that's just how like it goes, like being a kid and like being in high school, not even just sports. Obviously like all kids aren't gonna want to listen to, like we would obviously wouldn't want to listen to like people that are older than us. Like it's just
it's just part of being a kid.
Yeah, it's just a kid spirit, and you don't want to listen to, in what most cases are usually what's right, and it's hard to realize that until you realize it for yourself. And at least that's for me, because I don't really like taking it from.
You can't have just someone else force it down your throat. You have to learn it yourself. That's
Exactly.
how most things go, honestly.
Straight up, yeah. Yeah, so I didn't really like how I felt because I just wasn't eating enough. Same thing with Matt. I'm sure we could both relate to that. And I just started to cut sugar out. That was one of the main things, because I really wasn't even focused on like getting better or anything. Like one of my main things was I hated my skin. Like I had the worst acne, and I just started cutting sugar out, and I noticed I started to feel better. I started to clear up my acne, and like just from eating like real good meals, like you just end up feeling better, like straight up. And then from there, it almost is like a compounding effect, like just from making that one small change, it led to more small changes. And then I started sleeping more and getting more sleep, and then you're in a better headspace, and you can start thinking and better, and you can be functioning at your actual like full potential,
Like having shit sleep was probably one of the biggest things for me, because I would go to sleep, after midnight every night, but I had to wake up at around 6 a.m. So I'd be getting 5 to 6 hours of sleep on average. And like that feels normal, but absolutely terrible for you. And you'd be like walking into school just feeling like I don't even know, like a pile of trash, I guess.
Yeah, and like we can even like we'll be getting more into this whole thing with like the sleeping and eating. You know how I've come up with like a sort of way of like going about that and sort of taking care of that, and how much it can really help you when you're taking care of your health in different ways. But that's end of the day, that's not really even just about improving. It's just about like living well and just like being happy, like literally, you know. From eating better and getting better sleep, I started almost just focusing on learning more and just building my mindset, like studying things to get better, learning from things that I experienced. I feel like there was so much like videos I'd watch, or like Joe Rogan stuff, or like motivational stuff, like Mike Tyson stuff, like all these like inspirational people, all these like great like writers, artists, all different people who are just great at different things, and I was just focusing a lot on that.
Yeah, same for me, honestly. I would just listen to a lot of, similar type of stuff like podcasts and just
Yeah,
old, like,
we got really
same,
big into podcasts.
yeah. I was probably bigger into it then than I am now, honestly. I listen to them all the time.
Yeah.
And honestly, also, just like you said earlier, like incorporating past experiences and stuff like that, and kind of using them to learn upon them and just improve and get better at things.
Yeah, like there was, it's crazy. I heard I was playing Red Dead Redemption, the game, and there's the guy Hosea. He's like,
I remember him, but I don't really remember like what he did in the game, I guess.
I don't know how I just remember this so distinctly. I remember exactly where I was on the map, and he goes, I think it was like a failed robbery or something that was going on in the game, and he goes, well, every loss is a lesson, and like it's so funny that it came from Red Dead Redemption, but it literally just like I started thinking about that so much, and I just really started getting better than my old self. That's like what I was focused on, and just like living up to like the full potential, and I started seeing that. And like I was saying, I didn't really believe that I could get there at one point, but it started happening where I was actually noticing I was there. And that's sort of how growth goes. Like you don't really notice it. You start doing things that actually get you to that point, and then you realize that you're at that point. I mean, that's how it was for me.
Yeah, once you start, you can kind of realize that you realize like everyone around you has a kind of like a limitless potential.
Yeah,
and
like,
yeah, you can
sky's
just
the
keep
limit.
going up.
And yeah, so like I just started getting to a point where I just started like feeling good and just realizing like, holy shit, like I really like transformed a lot. Like, and I think I was saying a little bit about this in like the last episode that we did, but there's a point in summer, like right around so there's just one night in summer, like right after graduating senior year, I just straight up, I guess, like realized how far I've come. And I was talking, like we were talking with our friends, like there was one night where we just hung out, like me, Matt, and two of our other friends, and we were just talking about, like, I was telling them what GC is now and like how I've been getting better and just like how I've like transformed my life, and just like reflecting on my personal improvement, and just like as a group sort of just talking about how things have changed, how we've gotten better, like all personally.
And also kind of how we're going to continue to keep getting better, the things and steps you can take to stay on that path.
Yeah, just good energy. Like that's, at the end of the day, if you control your environment, that's like one of the biggest keys, is surrounding yourself with the right things in your environment. It's not even just people, because you'll always follow the path of least resistance, meaning like you'll always fall to your weakest link, pretty much.
For sure.
And there's a thing that's like, oh, well, you could have discipline not to, but
you only can have a certain amount of discipline. Like, I've heard somewhere that willpower is measurable, and that you only have a certain amount, really, and it starts to kind of wear on you just using so much willpower all the time.
I was like, I actually, you I think were telling me about that, and I think Kelly was telling me about that like a while ago, like saying that, or a bunch of people, or you know what I mean, like,
yeah.
And I never even thought of it that way, because to me, I've just always thought that I've been disciplined and been good at that, and I started realizing like, oh, well, I guess there really are just like little hacks that you can use to make it almost where you have like more willpower and discipline.
Yeah.
And like one of them is like follow or like making the path of least resistance the best option. You know what I mean? It's like making it to the point where you're gonna like what you fall to is the best choice for you to make, I guess, pretty much. So yeah, getting back to what I was saying, like we were all together, all of our friends, saying what GC is now and how I've been getting better, and I just realized that night, it just made so much sense. Like honestly, I realized like this is what I'm doing, and like this is just all I'm set on now is GC, and just making this something and doing this for however long, you know, and helping others improve like we were able to improve, because honestly, like I think inspiring others really seems like the purpose of life at the end of the day, like straight
Yeah,
up.
of course. Honestly, I'd also say just one of the biggest aspects of improving upon yourself is taking past things and using them as catalysts to get better.
Yeah, like it's like that the whole thing is like building from experience, growing from experience. And yeah, there are a bunch of things too. Like I brushed on like a few things, just like eating better, getting better sleep. Like when you start doing things that make you uncomfortable or start trying to discover things, being open-minded and like searching for new things, like they say like novelty is stimulating, and like novelty is like anything new, anything that you haven't like, yeah, I mean that's pretty self-explanatory, but yeah, like I feel like we've tried so many.
We try different things like more working out.
Yeah, like just like what like how it was like starting working out, even like new tastes, like like finding new things we enjoy, and just things
Sure, for
that
you, like eating more too.
yeah, and like just finding new things that just bring sort of joy and just also like help you get better and enjoy life more at the end of the day. So yeah.
And like as we were saying before, how like some things are like you just feel better on a daily basis, such as like getting a better sleeping habits and eating habits, having better like working out habits. It was also definitely key. And also not even just starting these things, also just doing them over and over again, because once you do it over and over again, you start to make a habit out of it, and it starts to, once you make a habit out of it is when it really starts to affect you, not when you just start doing it.
Yeah, exactly. And like the consistency is the most important thing, and
Consistency is key.
yeah. And when it gets to the point where you don't even have to think about it, or don't even have to be like, ah, man, like I gotta go do this, I gotta go work out, like when you get to the point where it's so ingrained, then it's just smooth sailing, and you're just going
Going with the flow at that point.
yeah, and you're almost in a flow state, and you're just living the best that you can. That's what ultimately we're all trying to achieve.
And that doesn't really necessarily mean it's easy to do it, but it means it's more natural to do it, and it feels more right, and you really get the purpose of it when before you're more forcing yourself to do it.
Yeah, like I was reading something a few days ago about putting effort in, and like how much that helps you. Like when you really don't want to, you still gotta fight and still gotta put effort in, because it will end up making you feel better 100% of the time, even though it feels like it might not. But yeah, like I was saying a little bit earlier about like making yourself uncomfortable, or putting yourself in new situations, discovering things. Like one thing that I think that both of us have gotten a lot better with is like social interaction with like new people, and like talking with new people, and really like we're made to be we're social creatures, like at the end of the day, like humans.
Yeah, of course.
And with like COVID, like I've been like really bad at that recently, and I've been getting better at it again, but it's something that it's easy to not want to talk to people if you're already introverted, but when you just like sort of like use that muscle more and more, you get better at it, and then you end up just like feeling better, and just like you end up like giving value to other people, and that value like comes right back to you. Like what you put out is what you receive. So
Yeah, exactly.
we're sort of talking in like metaphors, but I mean it's all true. Like it's like live, love, laugh. Like it's really the biggest facts of life. Just from being able to get better myself, I really want to be able to show like kids that started like me, like not liking where they are, like just not confident, that they can get better, because I definitely didn't believe that I could get better, but it just started happening naturally. And
Just giving other people hope.
yeah,
Because when you see other people do something that you want to do, it really helps you believe that you can also do it.
yeah, it's like that genuine inspiration like always hits, you know. It's like when you feel that connection with someone.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and that's what I'm focused on, and that's just what I really like. And it honestly always comes back to when you're thinking of others. Like, I know it's so like corny to be like, oh, think of others first, but I mean that's not really the way that I'm saying it. I'm saying it more in the sense of when you lift others up, you lift yourself up. And I don't mean to say that in an egotistical way of trying to make yourself better off, but I just mean it in the sense of you just start feeling better, you know?
Of course.
Like I was saying, like about a year and a half ago, like I was like small physically and like mentally sort of weak pretty much, and didn't have much confidence in myself or like my appearance, and I didn't like who I was, and I didn't like my character, I guess. And I feel like I like got like rejected a lot or just left out of things, and I also just felt like I just had like horrible luck all the time, and like not many like true friends, and it felt like bad things would just always happen. And I would just like ask myself like why why did all these things happen. And I got to a point where I was just like so done with this, and I started seeing a better point, and felt like I flipped the switch, and I started turning my struggles into gain, and I stopped worrying about the bad things that would happen to me and the things I couldn't control, and I just started focusing on what I could do, and the present. And small change by small change, I started to care about myself and started to get better, and I started working out, getting bigger, and like naturally just like, and by improving my physical health, like I improved like mentally as well. And like improving my skin from like my horrible acne before, like I was saying. Physically I grew a lot, and like naturally I grew like mentally as well. And I truly believe that we don't find or like discover ourselves, like we like create ourselves. Like as like corny as it sounds, like in my opinion, if we see where we want to be and have a goal for ourselves and work to it and achieve it and make it happen, that is like the true power of life and like power of like us as humans. And yeah, and like that's what I like started realizing, that there's so much strength in that. And that's really something like it's also just being genuine, staying true to yourself, even if you're not sporting the popular opinion or something that isn't considered normally cool. It's like it's having faith in yourself and learning to love yourself no matter what. Finding those things that you don't like about yourself and accepting them, and improving what you can and not worrying about what you can't. Another big thing is just helping others without expecting a return, and just being open-minded, building a strong character that pretty much inspires this and everything and everyone around you as well. And that's sort of what like the come up was for me. And now I've gotten to a point where I feel a lot more comfortable than I did before. And I'm going to be honest, like I haven't been feeling as great as I was a few months ago, but that's just how it is. You just keep going, you keep pushing, and you just roll with the ups and downs. So, and honestly, we've had this sort of talk a little bit, like how we both haven't been doing the best recently, like compared to how we like sort of have came up, I guess, or as great as we were before. But that's the thing, you just keep fighting, and
it's just part of the journey, I guess you could call it.
Yeah, there are ups and downs, and that's just part of it. There can't be ups without downs. So you roll with it, and
And you
just
learn from it.
yeah, you just keep going, and it really does not feel the best when you feel like you're at a better point at one point and you end up going down or whatever it is, but you can end up making it like way farther than you thought that you could, like from failing or from losing, from from like struggle. Like you'll always make it a lot farther than you think you can.
Usually the biggest, I guess, catalyst or the biggest learning experiences usually come from more negative experiences. Not that they can't come from positive experiences, but more often than not, they usually come from negative experiences, which makes those experiences, I guess, have value when you may otherwise see them as being meaningless and just being bad experiences.
Yeah, straight up. Like for me, I think if all the bad stuff that's happened to me didn't happen to me, there's no way I would be like where I am right now. It sort of sounds crazy to say that, like I'm glad that these bad things happened to me, but once you start learning from them and growing from the actual like bad things that happen or the struggles that you go through, then you start to realize how it actually helped you and like why how it actually helped you, I guess. I feel like if you focus on growth too much, then you end up not really even making it anywhere. It's sort of got to just be natural, and you sort of just got to not really think of it. And obviously it's sort of weird when that's our whole brand and that's sort of what we're pushing, and that's sort of what we're when that's our brand and that's sort of what we're pushing. But yeah, it's still something that I try not to think about too much, because when you think about it too much, you end up just overthinking and not really making the progress that you
you'd
can
really
be making.
Yeah.
Let's hear. Put us on some cool shit that you've been on recently.
Honestly, I've not really been listening to as much new music or watching as much new stuff recently, to be honest. Yeah.
I feel like it's sort of stagnant for, I guess, like culture and shit. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Oh, actually, I've been feeling a lot recently. There's this kid named Baby Santana who is a rapper. He's just been like blowing like super big. Like he has this song called Antisocial, and with another he's like, I think he's like 14, and
that's just absolutely nuts.
and the other kid is 16. They have just like fucking crazy music, but yeah, he's
wasn't
proper.
one of their songs blowing up on TikTok? I'm pretty sure
That was Antisocial. Yeah. And then SSG Kobe is a person I've been listening to for a while now. Another young kid. He's from Louisiana. He has sort of been in like the underground, like SoundCloud, like music for like a while now. But he's finally like been like really blowing up. Like I'm sure like at this point like everyone knows about Sofago. Like he's sort of in that same like category of like that like SoundCloud. It's just so cool seeing like a bunch of like kids like underground music and just sort of like becoming a thing, like how it was in like 2016 with like Uzi, Yachty, Cardi, all them.
Honestly, I still have a hard time believing Sofago just blew up like he did. It's just nuts to me.
Signed to Travis, everything.
Yeah,
it's crazy seeing that. All the hyperpop wave, like
some good stuff coming out recently.
Yeah.
Any new clothes you've been seeing recently?
You know what? Clothes is to me, it's been a little stale recently. I feel like what's really like popping with clothes right now is just like vintage stuff. Like that's what I really
the same
like.
Stuff that's been popping for like the last year.
Yeah, I mean,
least.
like to me, it feels like what's it called? Like big brands are sort of just like dead now. Like I feel like people are finally getting into. Honestly, vintage is gonna be the new luxury. That's just a fact, and that's what I mean, it's already been happening. And I think it's going to stay that way. I think people are going to be going to thrift stores more than they're going to be going to buying clothes wherever they would.
Do you want to plug anything towards the end?
Yeah. Like we mentioned in the last episode, the hats are being sold soon. We've obviously teased those a little bit. We'll be selling those online, like I mentioned in the last episode. And like I said, hoodies are on the way. Just know the hoodies are going to be so proper. And we have a lot planned for that and so on. So, yeah, I think that does it. And that was good, honestly.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, thank you.
See you next time.